What is good? It's C Trades from C Investments over here. We're going to break down this crazy day we had on the market. There was a crazy pullback. This is not at all financial advice. It's only my opinion. With that being said, let's break down the first stock that we're going to look at, and that's the S&P 500, right? SPY. SPY has not broke down monthly lows, which are sitting at 494.22. I think a little bit lower than that, but around that range is where our monthly lows are, right? Last time we had a pullback, we saw that the market pulled back nicely and it did not break lows and it kept the bull run going, right? We're clearly bullish on a monthly time frame, and I think we're always going to stay bullish on a monthly time frame for the S&P 500. But we could see early signals of, a break to lower sell side liquidity once we see lows get broken. In this case, we saw lows get broken out here and we traded lower, right? We swept these lows. We started trading around those levels. We respected these and kept trading higher. So those are my targets. When I'm seeing the market move like this, I'm looking for it to target monthly lows. In this case, my monthly lows are here. If we break under this, I think we're going to trade down to this level and consolidate for a bit. If we really want to push down, we're most likely going to test down our lows at 409. Do I think that's going to happen? Not at all. Do I think we're most likely might be able to see a move down here? Yes. Do I think it's coming as of so right now or next week? Absolutely not. I actually think that the market's going to look a little bit bullish for the rest of the week, or at least it's going to have some bullish movement for some nice plays to the upside. And why am I saying that? Well, one, if you look at the S&P 500, the move that it broke down today, it's currently reversing, right? And on your daily time frame in the S&P 500, it looks a little bit to me like we might be sweeping this, right? And how are we going to know if it's a sweep? Well, tomorrow we would see a break of the structure and the fill of this gap, and then we would most likely see a push further down, right? As a trader, what could I expect, or how could I make money this? You want to make money this week? Don't trade the S&P 500. The SPY is going to be everywhere. I would not be looking at trading this at all. Some stocks that I am very interested in are NVIDIA, right? We've talked about this buying level in our weekly lookouts. I did buy some shares, and now I'm actually a little bit bullish on it. And let me explain why. NVIDIA was down maybe 12, 15, it was a crazy number, percent during the pre-market hours. And now we're starting to push back up. But what I found very interesting on NVIDIA is that we broke structure, we consolidated, and we maintained. And during after hours, we're actually breaking out to the upside, right? So do sellers want us to fill this gap before a push further down? Or are buyers getting ready to step in on NVIDIA and say, this is the pullback we've been waiting for. This is the pullback we wanted. Now we want to see market retest these fair value gaps and take it higher. Are we going to aim for these? Or are we going to aim for these, right? There's a lot of space in NVIDIA for the upside. I do think that NVIDIA, I would strongly say that we're most likely not going to see a break of 92.0. But I do think we might see some consolidation and maybe some moves further down around here just to react back up again. I don't see NVIDIA trading lower than this. Then again, only time could tell. But I really don't think this is one of those dips that you say, the recession's coming, it's all over, sell everything. I don't think so. If you guys follow me on social media, I was breaking down that you buy the fear, right? You buy when the market is extremely scared and there's a lot of volatility. So if you look at the VIX, which measures fear in the market, you're seeing that the VIX went, and then fear started to die down, right? So if fear's dying down in the market and we're seeing signs that it's coming back up, you're most likely going to see buyers buy this, right? And push the VIX back down to its normal trading levels. Do I think that the VIX is going to tell us exactly how the market's going to go? No. But it is a good tool to look at if you're debating on whether you should go long or whether you should go short. I have a very open mind going into this week. My bias is obviously bearish, but I do see some long opportunities in the market. Another great long opportunity I'm looking at is Apple. And Apple already showed it today, right? We broke structure, tried to fill this gap, retested it, right before market closed, bounced back up, and now we're trading at 212, 211, right? That would have been a beautiful trade to take from 204 up to 211 and then see if market wants to retest levels up to 219 tomorrow. right? So we are seeing some type of bullish formation coming out of this gap. And if you see them all on the daily, these stocks don't want to trade down, right? If you see some stock like Tesla, though, Tesla's not necessarily looking like a stock I want to be trading right now. Google is not necessarily looking like a stock I want to trade right now. We are breaking out of FVJ, but the pushback wasn't as significant as some of these other stocks, right? CAT, I'm pretty interested on taking it long, right? We were talking about longs up here. We never took them. Reason why? We had a huge sell-off in pre-market, so that broke our bias. But I am still expecting a nice long position on CAT. I think CAT's going to pick up. You have earnings tomorrow prior to market open. If these earnings come out well, if they come out good, I think you're going to see a nice push on CAT. If you see another stock such as Paulo, I think Paulo's in also some very buying opportunities. The second we break out some of these highs, I'm going to look to buy some shares, right? We want to see the market being able to hold the 300s, and if we start to hold above the 300s, then I'm going to tell myself, okay, the market wants to push higher, right? We have earnings for the stock, I'm pretty sure next week or 2 weeks from now. Yeah, and I think earnings are going to come out great. So you see a lot of these major big cap stocks that have a lot of earnings potential, and you're seeing that they're starting to create that trend. They're starting to show you, hey, listen, I know we had a sell-off, but now we have Divergent. Now we have a break of structure. Now we have a sweep of lows. Now we have a FVJ right here. And now we have a possible trade plan for a reaction back down there, just to trade it right back up there, right? So you are seeing a lot of these stocks show you that trend's kind of moving. We had a big pullback, but it's getting bought up. So where could we possibly go? Overall, I'm bearish, right? There's no way that you're looking at this and you're thinking, yeah, we're just absolutely going to short this beast. I mean, go long this beast, because the sellers are there. And that's something that you can't ignore. The sellers are there, right? So if you see such as the Qs also had a significant pullback, but they're kind of making that same market structure. They're showing early signs. We're seeing it on some big stocks, right? ARM's showing some early signs too. It filled its gap. It's down only about 2% at the close. Now it's probably back at break even. You know, we have a lot of stocks that are starting to show potential for the push up. So I think it's very important to understand this week why the market crashed and how can you capitalize off it. One, if you're a long-term investor, it's time to buy, right? And that's not financial advice, but you have to get that clear that when you have dips like this in the market, they always get bought up, right? Do I think that we're going to have a crazy market crash such as 08? Not at all. Are there showing us signs that could be a possibility? Yeah, it could be a possibility, right? But anything could be a possibility. Tomorrow we could wake up and Russia would want to send us over a nuclear bomb and the markets are going to sell, right? So it's not about having this crystal ball and trying to figure out where the market's going to go. It's more about the market's showing me this, and this is how I can react in order to make profit. In this case, I'm starting to see early signs on an hourly time frame that the market wants to push up, right? That we're seeing divergence, sweeps of lows, break of structures, right? So that's something huge to take accountability of. That's something that you have to notice. You can't ignore it, and you can't let this big momentum flush you in on shorts, and then you get wiped out by buyers. What if I told you that smart money concepts, right, love to base their trades off volatility and liquidity? Those are two things that we're seeing right now, right? And those are that's the introduction when you start learning and talking about smart money concepts. They talk about volatility and they talk about liquidity. Well, there's a huge liquidity draw right now, right? Because you're seeing the S&P 500 have some weekly. Let's move to the weekly. You have some clear liquid lows sitting here. And we did see that buy. So are we going to respect those liquid lows, break structure up here on our daily time frame, which is the same highs? Obviously, you wouldn't see it on a weekly. But on a daily time frame, these highs, and if we break that, would we have a fair value gap retracement to take back long? Where would we target? The fill of this gap at 528.74. If we don't see that, right, and now the side that everyone's like, oh yes, this is it. This is what we're talking about, the short sellers. Well, guess what? If you're a short seller, right, And if you're getting ready to short this market real nice and strong, you're going to need to see a strong break of prominent lows, a strong break of previous lows, and then hopefully an FVJ sitting somewhere here so that you could take the market nice and down low, right? To retest. I think those are weekly lows or bearish confirmation at 498.71. A lot of you guys might be like, what do you mean bearish confirmation? We already know that the bears are here. We already know that the bears are selling. I'm talking about the bearish confirmation that's going to send us over into a bear market. If we break those lows, then absolutely start only looking at shorts. But until then, you have to have an open mind that, hey, trend could start reversing and this could be the opportunity of a lifetime to make a lot of money on call options and as well a lot of money on long-term sales. You know those memes where you look at and it's like, oh my God, I wish I had this money in 08 when the real estate bubble cracked or whenever it was, right? And you're like a baby. Well, you're being put in that same scenario right now, right? The market's crashing. If you're watching this video, or if you're in my Discord, you clearly have some type of money to invest. So now it's all about investing smart and starting to identify these moves early on so you could catch that big overall trend. In this case, yes, my day traders, my future traders, we are bearish, but you have to have the idea that the market is getting ready for a possible push back up, right? We have a huge rate decision. We have some huge news coming out. This to me is yelling buy. You buy when there's fear in the market, right? You have a lot of stuff that you have to take accountability for now in the market, and one of those being the big reports that come out next week, right? So tomorrow I don't believe we have any news. I know PMI came out today. Tomorrow no news. We have our 10-year bond action, but unemployment claims on Thursday is going to be huge. That's going to be something we're going to look at massively. But more than all, we're going to be looking at core CPI, PPI, retail sales, a manufacturer index. We're going to look at employment claims, retail sales, right? You're going to look at consumer sentiment. Consumer sentiment is going to be the biggest report of next week. That's going to show us where could we actually be headed. And for a lot of the people that talk about like, why is the market selling off if we were just told that we might have rate cuts on September, you have to think about it in this point of view. If rate cuts are coming in September and inflation is still not at that 2% goal that the Feds want it to be, are they cutting rates too early? And when could we see a change on inflation? So all this big demand, right? All these big people that want inflation to go down ASAP think, well, as investors, if we push the market into a recession and people aren't spending money, meaning there's less demand, are we going to be able to physically and forcefully lower prices, right? So that's the biggest question on where could this go. Are we forcefully manipulating a bear market so we could fall into a recession so inflation can come down because the Feds don't want to deal with it? I mean, they clearly do want to deal with it, but the way we're making it seem is like they're not doing anything, which they clearly are, right? Or are we going to wait for the September meeting and see what Jerome has to say and see if we actually get rates being cut, or if he's going to take the smart approach and say, you know what, there hasn't been enough evidence for us to get ready to cut rates. These next reports we were waiting on, we're not prepared to cut rates due to the results, and we're getting ready just to maintain rates as they are so we can get closer to that 2% goal. I honestly think that's the best thing to do here. I think the second that you cut out such a big policy like this, you're going to start thinking, where could we head? And it could send a lot of manipulated moves to the wrong side. In this case, I think it's the bottom side, right? I think the sell-off is just because of fear, because of what happened in Japan. If you guys don't know what happened in Japan, they were negative on their interest rates, meaning that you actually had to pay the bank in order to hold your money, right? And that did not work. The market's currently crashing. So a lot of people are thinking, well, if we're positive on our interest rates, and if we're currently paying a high interest just for our money to be held, where could we go, right? Because it wasn't the whole goal to bring it down, but if we bring it down, then can't we possibly fall into this, right? It's a big topic that you'd most likely have to read more about if you really want piece for piece information, but those are the main points about it. And it's very important to understand that. It's very important to understand that there's a lot of news going on right now, right? The wars overseas are incriminating, meaning that they're getting bigger, right? I don't even know if I said that word right, but they're getting bigger. So they're telling us and giving us early signs that, hey, U.S. might get involved, And if we get involved, what happens? You're going to see a crash in the market. You're going to see oil prices go up. You're already seeing military stocks go up. And the cord was talking about it earlier. You're already seeing military stocks go up. So because of that, where could we be headed? Where are we headed, right? Everything's looking scary. There's a lot of fear. Now you're seeing military stocks go up. So where could you see the market probably or possibly trade to? There's a lot of questions in the sky. The best thing I could tell you is that this is one of those weeks where if you're a new trader, you want to step back and take notes and understand what's going on in the market, let alone not take some positions. And if you're more experienced, I would say that this is the time where you start securing your options, keeping very tight stop losses. You don't know when the market could tank again, and you have no idea when the market could rally. Today was an example of that. Today we were trading NVIDIA, and we were up about 25%. We didn't necessarily get above that. I think we got up to like 35% at one point, but we were margining in that 25% zone. We ended up taking profits at 20%, and some of our runners got stopped out at break even. We took a safe trade because in conditions like this, you want to take safe trades. You want to take profits, right? And you want to keep tight stops just so that you can never fall under the red and you can end the day green, which are the most important things. If you have a green trade, I can't stress it more than enough. Don't let it turn red. The most simple way you could do that is just by putting an order at break even. That way, at least you break even and you don't lose anything on the trade. There's a lot to come. I'm going to be posting a lot of articles. I'm going to be posting a lot of things I read. There's obviously a lot of interesting topics in the market right now. I can't suggest a specific setup for this week that I'm sure it's going to bank. I'm not going to lie. I do have my eyes on NVIDIA calls. I am preparing to possibly take a trade against this big red and go for calls. And the reason being is because this big red is a manipulated move. This is not at all that move that you're talking about where, okay, you got the technical losses, you knew this was going to happen, X, Y, and Z. No, this is all news. This is all headlines. And that's why 50% of the drop that happened today got bought up. I feel like not enough people are talking about that, and not enough people are taking notes of the fact that we bought back up the big drop that we had today. If you guys have any questions whatsoever, feel free to leave it in the Discord. Feel free to ask me. Feel free to DM me, whatever it needs. We have a free Discord linked in the bio. We go over crazy good topics. It's a good community. People are constantly talking in it. If you're interested on learning how to trade, I'd highly suggest you join the free community. We have a free course explaining the basics of what are options, how can you make money with options, and really just the basics of it, right? Nothing crazy. Anyways, with that being said, C-Trades is out. I'll catch you guys tomorrow morning. It's going to be a wild week.